Hi guys and welcome to another Kitchen Draft Live. In today's video, we're gonna be making a simple pasta recipe. Chicken with chorizo and a nice sun-dried tomato sauce. Well, I really hope that you're going to enjoy this recipe. If you're watching this in replay, might want to skip this around because we're taking obviously a lot longer doing it live with a bit of talking and all that kind of stuff. But if you're watching it live, I would really appreciate if you give this a like and a share. If you have any other friends or family that might be interested in cooking this simple recipe, then make sure you show them what we're doing here. Now, let's see here. Okay, so for today's recipe, which as I said is very simple. If you're watching in replay, you might want to probably skip around just because, as mentioned earlier, we're taking a bit longer. But for this recipe, I have here chicken thighs. If you don't want chicken thighs, you can obviously go with chicken breast. But chicken thighs tend to have a bit more flavor, in my opinion, or they retain a bit more flavor. And on top of that, what you get them for cheaper price. Now it's totally up to you. If you want to go like low fat all the way, you might want to add chicken breast. If you're happy with what I've got here, just use simple skinless chicken thighs. You cannot really go wrong. They have quite a bit of flavor in there. After that, we've got here some chorizo, smoked chorizo. This is a bit spicy as well. If you don't like it spicy, you can find chorizo that is not spicy. That's totally up to you. But that smokiness from the chorizo will be absolutely amazing in our pasta. I've got here sun-dried tomatoes. We're not going to use that much of the oil, but when I'm frying, everything that I'm frying with, that I'm going to be frying today, I'm going to be adding some of this oil. This is actually quite good because it has quite a nice flavor. So don't throw this oil because you can keep it for future recipe. Although the oil is probably not that expensive because it's usually like a cheap veg oil. What you can do is just use it as a normal frying oil if you want to give some of that tomato flavor. So we're going to be using this oil for this recipe. Now I've got here some single cream. When it comes to cream, you can go with double if you want to, but single is a bit lighter, and in my opinion, it works kind of better for sauces. I would say that if I can give you an advice when it comes to cream, just make sure that you use dairy cream. Don't go with something like the cream that's vegetable cream, because I think it's got a lot of things in there that shouldn't be. Obviously, if you are vegan or so, then you can probably go, but then yeah, that's a different story. I would say dairy cream is something that you should probably incorporate into your cooking. It works really well. It's probably a bit more expensive, but it does the job in a lot better way. I've got here some Parmesan cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano. Aged Parmesan cheese is probably a bit more expensive, but it's got some nice flavor, nice cheesy flavor. You don't need to go crazy, but just a bit of that will definitely be a game changer. Now, what else we've got here? I'm going to use half of this onion. I'm not going to go crazy when it comes to onion, although this is kind of small, but for 2 portions that I'm making today, half onion will do the job. Garlic, I've got more than I need here because sometimes they can be just, off, and then that's why I've got more, but I'm not going to be using more than 2. So 2 cloves of garlic is what you need. Now, let's begin. So I'm going to get first the onion and the garlic. I've got here a pan, my favorite pan, my wok. I can use it in so many situations. I absolutely love it. Now, we're going to start first with the onion. I'm just going to chop the onion. Let me get my knife here. And if you are into the stream, I can see 3 people here. Just say hello. If you want to give this a like, I'd really appreciate it. If you want to give me a share, even better. Christmas is coming. We're getting there. I hope you guys doing well. Okay, sharp knife all the time. Begin with that. You're not going to regret it. Now, let's get this onion sorted. So as I said, half onion. We don't need more than that. You could go with the whole thing if you want to, but I think half is just what we need. You can even skip the onion. Yeah, that's another option. As you know me, or if you know me by now, recipes in general are not to be followed entirely. And I'm not even joking. This recipe, I never actually cooked this recipe. It's not like I invented this recipe, but I just kind of add things that I feel that make sense, and that's how I kind of like do it. But you can obviously check books and stuff like that, but I never really go step by step. Now, let's get this onion chopped finely if you can. If not, doesn't really matter. I don't even know why I'm using two knives here, but that's a different story. I'm just going to show you actually what I'm doing. So this onion, chop it finely. We're going to cook this until it starts getting a bit of a color. So basically sweating it. But I'm going to keep it easy. So in there, we'll go with pretty much all the ingredients that we've got here on the table, just because I want to keep it for you guys, keep it very easy for you guys. Ideally, you probably want to go in stages and just cook, let's say, cook the onion and the garlic first, and then after that, go with the rest and so on. But we want to keep it simple. Everything goes in there pretty much in the same time. So garlic, just going to chop it at this pretty much the same size as the onion. You could use one of those garlic minced if you want to, but for what I need, I think it's just fine. Oh, 2 or 3 bits is slightly bigger, but that's not big of a problem. Okay, so let's get rid of what we've got here. Just clean the table. And now we're going to put everything into the pan. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be using the oil from the sun-dried tomatoes, because we're making like a sun-dried tomato sauce in a way. I want some of that tomato flavor in there. And why would I use normal vegetable oil when this can be used too? Plus, we don't want to waste it. And it's got some of that flavor in there because this is preserved with herbs and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to bring something nice to this dish. Okay, oil in there, probably like 2 tablespoons, 2-3 tablespoons, something like that. Now, I actually added the oil, but I don't want to put the onion and the garlic yet into the pan, because I'm going to add them pretty much in the same time with the rest of the ingredients. So it's got to wait a bit. Right, now chorizo. I've got here a piece of chorizo. I'm going to be using probably, like, say, the whole thing was probably that much. I'm going to be using, let's say, a quarter. This is smoky, it's kind of strong. I don't want to kind of like overpower the whole thing. Chorizo tend to be kind of strong when you use it, so I'm not going to go crazy when it comes to chorizo. Now, just simply, I want slightly bigger chunks, because when I cook it, it will lose some of this. It will lose some of this thickness, because obviously it's quite a bit of fat in there. So slightly bigger cubes. Okay, so chorizo here. So that's the amount I'm using, because as I said, it's kind of strong and I don't want to, plus I've got the chicken. It's going to be a lot of stuff already, so I don't want to go crazy when it comes to chorizo. But if you like chorizo, like, obviously add more, but it's enough for what we need here. So I'm just going to put this together with the onion for now. So that's going together here. Now let's change the board. Since I've got so many boards, we're going to go with the raw chicken on a fresh board, which is the ideal way of cooking, just so we don't kind of like cross-contaminate everything here. With chorizo, since it's like smoked and all that kind of stuff, we started with the vegetables, because the vegetables obviously started with the vegetables. After that, moved to the cooked meat, you can say, the chorizo, and now to the raw. You could potentially, you could kind of use, obviously, most kitchens, at home kitchens, will probably only have 1 or 2 chopping boards. Absolutely worst case scenario, you could probably use the same chopping board if you're going in stages like this. Vegetables, let's say if you have chorizo, use chorizo after, and leave the raw meat at the end, and then make sure you give it a good scrub. But then if you have multiple chopping boards, make sure you kind of like change them, especially when you're dealing with raw meat. Now, so we've got here this meat. I'm just going to show you like what's going on here. I want to remove some of this fat. The fat doesn't really bother me that much, but I don't want, when it's too much, it's too much. So we're going to trim some of this fat. Just getting rid of it. Okay, so first we're trimming the fat, and after that we're gonna chop up the rest of the, we're gonna chop everything up. So trimming that. Let's see how it looks in here. I think that's kind of fine to me. We've got more. Another reason why I like chicken thighs is because they don't really get dry that easily. So if, let's say, you're not that skilled when it comes to cooking, then because of the fat that they've got, because like you can see there's quite a bit of fat kind of like veins going through it, then that will keep the meat moist. So that's something to bear in mind as well. Now, when it comes to like chopping, I'm just going to go in cubes. I've got 2 chicken thighs per portion. These, they'll be like quite big portions, to be honest with you. You can almost say that what I'm making here is for 3 portions, but as always, portions all depend how much you want to eat or how hungry you are. Okay, so this is getting chopped up in cubes. Let's get these as well. You know what? I kind of changed my mind when it comes to like, we're going to be cooking Thursdays because I want to give them a bit of color, considering that they've got quite a bit of fat. Because if we're going to cook the onion and the garlic and the chorizo in the same time with the chopped meat that we've got here with the chicken thighs, I feel like we're going to kind of slow down the process, and I'm not going to get a nice color on it. And I really want a bit of that color because that's going to give even a lot more flavor to the pasta. Okay, quick washing up the hands, and then we're going to start frying. Okay, how are you guys doing? I see that we have 5 people in the stream. I would highly appreciate if you give this a like. Today we are making some nice pasta with chicken, chorizo, and we've got some sun-dried tomato sauce. Everything pretty easy, so make sure you stay around. Now let's turn this on. I'm gonna go kind of like high heat because I wanna give a bit of color to this meat. Not a lot, but then considering that it's got some of that. It's got a bit of fat in there. I want to kind of render a bit of that fat. Otherwise, you're going to feel it kind of weird in a pasta. So, and all those benefits that I was talking about, not having the meat dry and so on, they're going to kind of turn against us. So we want to give a bit of color to the meat. And then after that, we're going to be adding the rest of the ingredients. And also, which I've not talked about, I'm going to be adding a touch of white wine. I've got some white wine in here. I'm only going to be adding like 50 mils of white wine. Try to incorporate white wine into your cooking when you're cooking in general. I think white wine is actually quite good. I mean, not white wine, red or port or Madeira wine or whatever you're cooking. It all depends on the situation. But wine and food together, not just like drinking them now. Yeah, there's definitely more than 2 portions. But obviously, don't worry, they will reduce, they will shrink because obviously it's meat. It will shrink down to probably, I don't know, not half, but it will definitely shrink down by a quarter. So although it looks a lot, it's not that much. And it's a shame that you cannot really smell what's going on here because the tomato oil is giving it a really nice flavor. I cannot flavor the smell. I can already feel it. If I was to use a normal oil, then it will be just kind of like plain chicken, nothing else. But now I can feel some of that tomato aroma in the air. So that's actually quite cool. Okay, I need a spoon, a wooden spoon in this situation. Obviously, we're using a Teflon pan, so just not to scratch it. That'll be ideal. How are you guys doing? I see that we have 4 or 5 people here in the stream. I hope you're doing well. I hope that you're ready for Christmas. Let me know what you're cooking for Christmas, actually. Okay. Yeah, never catch a knife when it's falling. Right. So this is going into the wash. So quick wash to what we've got here. And then our chicken is cooking there. So once it catches a bit of color, that's all we want. Right. Just cleaning up a bit here. And then yeah, that's looking good already. I'm not gonna add the seasoning just yet because obviously you have the chorizo, which sometimes tend to be kind of salty. So I'm gonna add seasoning once I have pretty much everything in there. Although I like seasoning right from the beginning, in this situation, I'm gonna give you a bit of time. Right. So let me get another board here because I'm pretty sure I'll need it in a minute. So we're gonna get this ready because I need to chop the sun-dried tomatoes, which I kind of forgot about. Now, I wasn't entirely sure how I'm going to do this. In the first place, I was thinking that probably in order to call it a sauce, which kind of makes sense, in my opinion, I will try to get into, well, no, I'll get into the blender. Cream, sun-dried tomatoes, get them into the blender, a bit of seasoning, and that's your sauce. But considering that not everybody has a blender, I know for some people it sounds kind of crazy. Why would you not have a blender? But not everybody does. So we're going to go classic. I'm going to chop it up finely and then mix it with the cream and with the rest of the ingredients. And that should do the job too. Now, let me get these tomatoes out. So for this, well, for this, if I find it, it should be here actually. So probably not. Okay, no problem. So, just gonna, I was thinking that, you know, I can drain them in a better way, but I can't really find my sieve. So that's fine. We're just gonna go, we're gonna fish them one by one from there. So with the chicken cooking now, I'm gonna get the sun-dried tomatoes chopped up. There are quite a few here, but that's fine. I mean, there are like, not sure if you can see. I mean, let me actually show you because you should be able to see. There are quite a few sun-dried tomatoes here. So that's fine because obviously I'm gonna be using this as a sauce. So we're gonna chop them up as fine as we can. It would have been easier in the blender, but we're gonna go classic this time. Chopping up by hand, my friends. Facebook crashes, no way. Well, in this situation, if you guys watching from Facebook, I would recommend to go on YouTube, see if it's working fine in there, because I'm live from both YouTube and Facebook. So I really hope that if one is down, at least the other one is working fine. It's probably not much I can do. From what I can see, the internet is fine. Everything else seems fine. So it's only if, I don't know, it's kind of a bad weather, to be honest, here in Jersey, like wind-wise, it's kind of going mental. It could be that. I'm not entirely sure. If it's not working on YouTube, then it's kind of like issues from my side. Otherwise, I don't really know. It might be Facebook. I mean, although I'm trying to blame them, I don't really know. So if you guys can switch to YouTube, just go on YouTube, just search kitchendraft. You can find me there. Yeah, apparently we are down. It doesn't work anymore on Facebook. Let me actually see. I don't think there's anything I can do, but unfortunately. Yeah. Okay, so now with this, now we're getting some color in here. I'm not sure if you guys can see. Unfortunately, apparently we have some technical problems. I'm not sure where this is coming from because I'm connected to the internet. The internet speed seems to be fine. Apparently on YouTube is working fine. Is it working on YouTube fine? Whoever is watching from YouTube, let me know. Okay, so now since we've got some color in here, worst case scenario, I'm gonna upload this to Facebook later on as a recording, but there's not much I can do at this point. Right, since we've got some color in here, getting back to what we've got here, I'm gonna add the chorizo, the onion, and the garlic. So these are now going in. So chorizo, onion, garlic, straight in. All right then. So meanwhile, what I'm going to be doing, because we are making this with pasta, I've got here some water. And now to this water, I'm going to be adding one tablespoon, not probably 1.5 tablespoon of salt, something like that. Just make sure that you add enough salt in there because pasta loves salt. And if you cook it without it, you're not going to get the same results. Now this is going to go on the other side because I don't really have space here. So I'm just going to keep it here till it boils, which shouldn't take that long. It's probably going to be done by the time we... Okay, only Facebook is down apparently. So if you guys, well, now it's probably too late for the guys from Facebook, but I'm not sure what's going on since one is working, the other one doesn't. So Facebook is good. Well, Facebook is bad, but YouTube is fine. So I probably should have mentioned right from the beginning that we are live on both platforms. So it kind of worked well in a way. It kind of worked well. I'm not really happy that on Facebook it's not working, but what can you really do? It might be a Facebook problem more than more than a problem on my side, but who knows? Okay, so now we're gonna be cooking this for another 2 minutes. Let's say we've got the onion, we got the garlic, we got the chorizo. As you can see, there is some nice colors happening here. Like from the chorizo, obviously you get all that nice color, which is like not red. I mean, it is kind of red, but it's more of a golden color. And once I'm happy with the color of the chorizo, because I want to cook this chorizo, the chicken is pretty much there. Since we cook it for about 10 minutes or so, the chicken is pretty much there, or even more than 10, I would say. I'm going to be adding the sun-dried tomatoes in a second. As mentioned before, if you feel lazy, then you could potentially just get them into the blender, whisk them up with some cream, and then that's your sauce right there. Obviously, add some seasoning, but in this situation, I think it's going to work even better, to be honest with you, because I'm going to give some nice color to, well, obviously, chorizo is cooking, the chicken is cooking, and I've got some sun-dried tomatoes as well. So I'm going to cook these together with the rest of the ingredients. Now, at this point, chorizo is kind of getting there. I see some color going on. So now we're going to drop in all the sun-dried tomatoes, which are quite a lot, but don't worry about it. This was meant to be a sun-dried tomato kind of like sauce, although the chorizo, it's quite there because it's kind of powerful, but the sun-dried tomatoes will be definitely felt into the pasta. Now, I want to cook this together. I'll give them another 2 or 3 minutes. Once I get there to the point that I'm happy with, I'm going to add the white wine. Once the white wine evaporates, because that's the whole point, I want not evaporates fully, but all the alcohol evaporates. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to get the cream in. And by the time the cream is kind of getting some flavor, the pasta should be kind of ready. Okay, now enough kind of talk. Now let's go in with the seasoning. I'm going to go first with pepper because most of these, we might have some salt in there already from the chorizo. It tends to be kind of salty, although this one is spicy too. So pepper, a good, I don't know, let's say a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I'm going a bit pepper heavy because it's a cream sauce, and cream sauces usually work well with pepper, but you don't really have to go that crazy. In my opinion, it works well, but obviously you know what works for you, so we'll see. Okay, so that's that. Pepper enough. Let me actually taste a bit, see what's going on here. Perfect. I would say for now, a quarter of teaspoon of salt. We're gonna add more later on. That's fine. If you're not sure, like in this situation, for example, you go gradually. Go a quarter of teaspoon, give you a bit of time of a bit of time of cooking, and after that, if you feel like it's more needed, go with more. That's how you kind of like learn how much seasoning to add probably in one go. You go gradually till to the point that you get experience, and then is when you know that, okay, that's how much I need. But then considering that on this channel, most of us, and even me included, I don't feel like I'm some sort of expert. The best way to know when the seasoning is fine is just go gradually. A bit now, a bit later, and in most situations, what I do, I add a bit at the beginning. Well, probably most of it at the beginning. I would say like 70% at the beginning, and at the end, I'm just kind of adjusting everything, just kind of tasting and doing like the final touch. Okay, let me show you, see what's going on here. Oh, we got a nice color now across the board. Now, let me bring the heat up a bit, and then I'm gonna go in with the white wine. As I said, not a lot and not crazy with the white wine, about 50 to 100 mils. And don't worry, as I mentioned, the alcohol gets evaporated, so nothing to worry about. For today's recipe, I'm using penny pasta. Penny pasta, this is kind of a good quality one. Napolina, Italian pasta. Obviously, most of it is Italian these days, but try to go for something like better quality if you can. This is not my favorite. Actually, I like more the Cecco. Like when it comes to dry pasta, the Cecco is one of my favorites. And it's kind of decently priced, but today I couldn't really find any penny pasta from the Cecco. I wanted to go with penny pasta for this recipe because I cooked all sorts of pastas on this channel, but not penny pasta. Right then. So, okay, let's add first the white wine because the water can boil there. That's not a problem. So, white wine now. About 50 to 100 mils. Boom. Straight in. That's all. We're not going to need any more white wine. This is going straight into the fridge. Obviously, you can have a glass. That's not a problem. I don't really feel like it now. So, dried white wine. By the way, if you're wondering like which one should you use, I'm not that big of an expert when it comes to this, but if it's dry, it should be fine. If it's white, it should be fine. So that's how you kind of know. Dry white wine, whichever that might be, whichever is your favorite, because in the end, if you're buying it and you're investing a bit, you might want to have a glass after that. Don't buy it only for cooking, because anyway, white wine in the fridge is not going to last forever. So buy wine that you want to drink, because what I see, one of the problems that I see usually, people buy cheap wine, not dry, cheap wine for cooking, thinking that, oh, it's just for cooking, it's just for flavor. But in the end, that's still going inside your body. So I would say, why not just go for something that makes sense, even if it costs a bit more. Now, pasta. I'm going to go about 2 portions and a half, which is probably like a portion is about 110 grams, I think. I'm not even sure if it says in here 100 grams or so, 100 to 110 in my opinion. Is probably that's the amount of like for one portion. In here it says 4 serves 4, and this has got 500 grams. So yeah, it's 125, 100, something like that, considering that it serves 4. But I'm gonna go with probably a bit more since I've got here about 3 portions. Obviously, it's important to know the balance, how much pasta you're adding. You don't want to go crazy, and then after that you don't have enough meat. In the same time, you don't want to go with less pasta because you're gonna have too much meat and you don't have that balance between meat and pasta. Now, getting in the pasta, so straight in with the pasta. Probably need to turn this instruction. Okay, pasta in. That's probably about 3 portions in my opinion. So salt is in there. I don't really feel like you need any oil. Sometimes I add it when I cook tagliatelle because it probably doesn't stick that much. But it doesn't make that much of a difference. It's probably more of a meat than anything else. Okay, at this point, I'm going to reduce the heat to minimum. The alcohol has been evaporated. What I've got here is just pretty much the flavor that I wanna have into this dish. And I'm gonna add the single cream. As mentioned, if you want single cream, if you're watching from the US, probably gonna call it, I think, heavy cream. Here in Jersey, we are kind of blessed. We have all sorts of creams. We are like loaded, and we have some really good dairy cream. When it comes butter, dairy in general, I think is really strong. We've got some beautiful cows as well. We are all inclusive. Now, why single cream? Because I think it's slightly lighter and it works better in my situation. I tend to use a single cream in most of my sauces. But there are situations where double cream makes a lot more sense because it's got more fat, it's a bit thicker. This one is kind of like single cream, double cream. It just kind of like makes sense that this is like lighter since it's single and the other one is double. Okay, I kind of lost you there, but that's fine. Right, so that's on minimum heat because you don't want to kind of split it. I'm gonna go actually with the whole thing. So the whole thing goes in, which is 250 mils of single cream. Okay, that's out the way. Okay, let me show you what's going on here. And don't worry about thinking that, oh, the dish point is too thin. You know, the sauce it is, to be honest. It kind of is because it's single cream. It's not double, but that's just perfect because when we're going to add the pasta has some of that starch in it. And I'm going to be also adding some Parmesan. That's going to bring a bit more like a bit more body to the sauce. And then it's going to be just perfect. Right, let's just make some space here first because we are not that far. We're not that far with this pasta and I'm pretty sure it's going to be amazing. Unfortunately, we kind of lost connection on Facebook apparently, but that's fine. We are on YouTube. We still have a place where we can hang out. I'm not sure what happened with the Facebook connection. And if you're late into the stream, let me show you what is going on here. We are making some nice chicken, chorizo, and sun-dried tomato sauce pasta. Now, as I said, with the sauce, you could have done it differently and actually call it, like, not just differently, making it a bit more like sun-dried tomato sauce than just cream with chopped sun-dried tomatoes. But since they're chopped finely, that's still going to incorporate into the sauce and it's going to be fine. I want to kind of like make it in a way available for even for people that don't have a blender, which in some situation you probably don't have a blender. And this is the way that you're gonna do your sauce, just chopping everything like as fine as you can, and then you're gonna get pretty much the same results. As you can see, obviously the color from the chorizo is helping as well, plus the one from sun-dried tomatoes. We got like a rosé kind of color sauce, which is gonna be absolutely perfect. By the way, I'm so excited to taste this dish, and the wine, it's gonna bring it to a different. Well, it's already like brought it to a different level. Now our pasta, it's kind of like. I'm gonna use exactly the same spoon because nobody's coming to help me with the cleaning. That's fine. So this is probably gonna take another. It's just kind of like now comes to boil. So with the pasta, if you're not sure, where is the package? So if you're not sure, situations when you're not sure, you kind of follow whatever is on the package. I would suggest go a bit less that is on the package. In here it says 15 minutes for the penny pasta. Obviously, penny pasta are slightly thicker. The pasta itself, it kind of like boils harder because they're like tubes. But I would say that 15 minutes is probably too much, in my opinion. Around 12 minutes, 13 minutes, it's definitely enough because we're going to be cooking everything here into the sauce. That's why the sauce is slightly thinner, but that's fine because this together with some of that pasta water is going to be absolutely perfect. So that's why we've got it this way. But it already got thicker, as you can see, because obviously it's still heat in there. It's still kind of like reducing itself. Just make sure that you kind of like stop it. I actually forgot a bit about it and it was on low heat, but that's fine as long as you don't split the sauce, because what's happening, if you give it too much heat, it kind of tends to crumble, and you don't want that because it's going to look kind of woody, and even the flavor of the sauce changes. So make sure you keep it kind of together. So just stop the heat at this point. I'm going to grate some Parmesan in there since I'm kind of waiting, doing nothing here. So Parmesan, let me get the, oh, here it is. So Parmesan, about 20 to 30 grams, something like that. You don't need more than that, in my opinion. 20 to 30 grams will do the job. Obviously, you can add some more if you have, when you have it into the plate. That's a different story. If you want, you can definitely do so. Okay, so that's the Parmesan in. Just gonna incorporate this into the sauce, and it's already getting thicker. Let me show you, it's already getting thicker, but that's fine, because the luxury of like when you're making pasta, if you get the sauce slightly too thick, you can adjust it with that pasta water. That's why whenever you're cooking pasta, that's why I always say, even if you feel like, I don't really need that pasta water, instead of adding plain pasta to this, it's a lot better adding some of that pasta water, which has some of that pasta flavor, some of that starch in there, and it's gonna have this, bring this sauce to a whole different level. Plus, you're gonna adjust it with something that's already hot, and it's gonna be at the same kind of temperature, which in most situations kind of matters. Okay, so that still needs a bit of time in there. My mom is in the house. It's officially, Mrs. Dunn, it's here. Okay, I just spoken with her earlier. She's getting ready for Christmas. We all getting ready for Christmas. What are you guys cooking for this Christmas? I'm actually curious what you guys cooking for this Christmas. Let me know in the comments. I know we kind of lost quite a few people on the way because we lost connection on Facebook, but that's fine. We're still here, and I'm gonna be able to do the upload on Facebook later on, even if it's recorded. That's absolutely fine. I mean, there's nothing we can do at this point. We're just kind of like rolling with what we've got. Now, let me chop a few chives. Oh, a new chopping board. I should have chopped it earlier, but that was kind of oily anyway. So I'm going to add some chives. This is optional. You don't really need them, but for color, plus a bit of that onion flavor, fresh onion flavor, in the end, I think they work well. Now, it's totally up to you whether, well, sometimes it's up to you. Sometimes it's up to the market. If you find them in the shop, if you don't find them, that's obviously not going to be up to you. So, oh, here we go. So what are we cooking for Christmas? We've got sarmale. Sarmale, for those that don't know, sarmale is a Romanian dish which is very popular, whether it's for Christmas or for whatever celebration. I'm not going to go too much in details. Actually, I think I've got a recipe on my channel. So if you want, you can go on my YouTube channel and just check for sarmale, which are, they obviously can be done in different ways, but what they usually are, it's rice, mincemeat, wrapped in cabbage leaf. Well, from there it can be wrapped in wine leaf, it can be wrapped in so many leaves, but usually it's cabbage leaf. And in most situations, especially for Christmas, because now obviously there's no more fresh cabbage. Well, there is, but it's not its best quality in most situations, although you still have cabbage even this time of the year. In Romania, the most popular during this time would be cabbage that's already pickled. So pickled cabbage, only the leaves, you're wrapping all that mixture in it, and then you cook it for, I don't even know now, obviously till the rice is cooked properly. But that's just like a short way of saying it. But then obviously there might be more than that. And obviously we've got kozonak. Kozonak, it's the same, another Romanian, that's a Romanian dessert. So the Romanian dessert, the cozonac, which I'm not really kind of expert when it comes to cozonac. I have an idea. My mom is kind of good on making it. It obviously differs. It is different depending on the side of the country you're making it. If you're making it in northern Romania, where I'm from, it's gonna be different than southern Romania. But then to put it in just a few words, it's just more of a like. It kind of it's a weird one to explain it. It's like a Swiss roll, but it's not a Swiss roll because the texture of the bread, well, the dough, it's somewhere in between brioche and bread, something like that. And it's sweet, and it's probably the most popular one. It's with walnuts, ground walnuts with sugar, but there are many others. They can be with poppy seeds. They can be with what else we've got there? There are quite a few. Turkish Delight, yeah, that's the one I was looking for. So Turkish Delight is another one. So there are quite a few options there, depending on the region in Romania where you're gonna try to find it. But I think they all work well. In my opinion, the best one is with walnuts. The one with walnuts is absolutely amazing. But then some people like it with Turkish Delight. It's not my favorite, but that's another option. Okay, we are not that far with the pasta because what happened there, I kind of like fell behind leaving it on low heat, but then we are not that far. If you're late into the stream, let me show you what's going on here. So if you are late into the stream, what we've got is, I got some pasta that I'm gonna be making. Here is the chicken, chorizo, I've got some onion, I've got some garlic, and sun-dried tomatoes, which is probably gonna be the main flavor. Together with the chorizo is probably gonna be some sort of competition there, but this is what we're gonna end up with. I'm waiting now for the pasta. I'm gonna combine everything together. I'm gonna add some cheese in the end. Well, you can go with cheddar if you want to as well. No cheese, I already added the cheese actually, yeah, no more cheese. You could add some cheese after that when you have it into the plate, but I think what we've got here is just fine. With what we've got here, I think we're good. I've got here some chives just to give it some nice color. And yeah, we shouldn't be that far. So just make sure you stay around and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna end up with. Now, let me get the colander here quickly. And then I'm not sure if we're back on Facebook. Are we back on Facebook? Probably not. We're probably not back on Facebook, but that's fine. Even if you're on YouTube, make sure you share it on Facebook and so on, or the other way around. Yeah, because we kind of lost connection on Facebook, but we're still on YouTube. Okay, let's see how the pasta is. I want it cooked al dente, so I don't want to go all the way with the cooking. As mentioned earlier, if you're not sure, cook it as it says on the package. And in most situations, in my opinion at least, I'll give you another 2 minutes, but that's pretty much it. In my opinion, you should cook it slightly less so you have enough time to cook it into the sauce, because that's the sauce. You don't want the sauce to be separated from the pasta. You want the sauce to work together with the pasta. You want the pasta to absorb some of that sauce, and you want the sauce to absorb some of that pasta water which we're going to be adding to be incorporated into it, and then just get to the perfect consistency. Okay, we still have 5 people. I mean, that's pretty good considering that we lost everything from Facebook. We're still on YouTube with 5 people. We're going strong. Make sure you stay till the end. And I would appreciate if you give this a like. Make sure you give this a like right now and give it a share if you can. I mean, not if you can. I'm pretty sure you can. But if you have people that are interested on making a nice, simple pasta, you can definitely do that. And as always, me with a lot of talking is taking me probably up to an hour to make some pasta. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's just the way it is. We are not here in a hurry. I could do probably this a lot faster if I was to cook the pasta right from the beginning, put it on the heat, and then just make the sauce meanwhile. But we are not in a rush here. Christmas is coming. We are slowing down. We have enough time for everything now. Okay, so I'll be good with the pasta now. So I'm going to keep some of that pasta water as mentioned earlier. And the reason why I didn't go crazy with the salt, that's another reason. Because obviously I added quite a bit of salt into the water. So in case I need to adjust the sauce, then I still have some salty, well, not salty, but fairly salty water here, which I'm going to be adding, and I don't want to add too much salt into the sauce. And when I'm combining it with this, it's going to be too salty. So now pasta goes in. Okay, let's turn this on. Medium low heat or medium heat, something like that, somewhere in between. I'm going to add the pasta water, which is probably like 100 mils for now, but that should do the job. About 100 mils. I think I'm fine with that. I should probably keep a bit more just to make sure that, but as you can see, it's getting a bit more watery. The sauce is just going to get perfect. So once the pasta is going to absorb some of the sauce, it's going to be just perfect. I definitely have 3 portions here. I have more than 2, that's for sure. But I think that's not, when it's not enough, that's the problem. When it's too much, that's definitely not the problem, especially not in this kitchen. It's not the problem, trust me. Plus, you can keep it into the fridge for like 2-3 days, easy, 2-3 days, no problems. Let me show you to see what's going on. As you could see earlier, it was kind of thick. Now it's getting at the perfect sauce consistency. I mean, look at that. It's just perfect. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes, no more than that, so it has enough time to absorb some of that sauce. The pasta has enough time to absorb some of that sauce. And then I'm going to be adding the chives. Whenever you're using greens, and especially when you're using chives, let's say, in most situations, you want to add them at the end, because as soon as they get into the heat, they kind of change their color. And you don't want to do that right from the beginning, or you don't want to do it now. When I'm going to say, okay, we are done, I'm going to be adding the chives. And that's when we kind of completely done, but leave the chives till the end. You want to have the chives at the end, because otherwise they will lose all that color. And you want it nice and green. What's the whole point? I mean, you're putting something nice and green, a bit for the flavor, obviously, and a bit for the actual color, but you're going to lose the color if you add it too early. Okay, let's just turn off this. We have enough noise here already. Okay, look at this. I mean, this is literally perfect. Look at this creamy pasta. I mean, this is just what you want. Now, at this point, I'm going to turn off the heat, as mentioned. Chives go in, mixing everything together. Okay. Right. Bowl for the pasta. Ka-ching. Okay. This is out. I need something else. Okay, I've got this spoon here. Not that I couldn't do it with this one, but I can't really get some of that sauce in there. So let me show you, see what's going on here. Nice, creamy, just perfect. You could even say that even a bit more of that pasta water would have been even better, because obviously that one, if you keep it into the fridge, is gonna absorb most of that sauce. But if you're serving it fresh, it's just perfect. It's just, look at this. I'm not sure how much you can see. Let me show you here. And that's what we've got. With difficulties, with Facebook issues, with everything that we had today, that was Kitchen Draft. That was the Friday video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. On the way out, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're not a subscriber, make sure you do so, because apparently we are not on Facebook anymore. But I will see you next time, which most likely is going to be next Friday. If something else comes up, because Christmas is here, I might do some Christmas recipe. I'm not entirely sure, because I've got some work to do as well, so it gets a bit complicated. But thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. And don't forget, the cooking never stops. If I don't see you till Christmas, Merry Christmas. I'm going to see you till next year. So not Happy New Year just yet. Bye. Thank you for watching.